Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Craig and Stevie with us here in the studio. Stuart Robson joins us as well. Should we get straight to it? Why not? Robbo?
So you were in... 1 second.
Yes?
You were in your travels here last...
I was in my travels.
You were in Madrid.
Yes, I was in Madrid.
And you went and you met Sid.
Yeah, I went to Sid, yeah. And Alex Kirkland as well.
You met Alex Kirkland.
Yes.
You were in London.
Yes.
And you didn't even bother to even make an effort to go and see Mr. Robbo.
Yeah, but Robbo's like, what, you're like 2 hours away?
What, in Madrid small?
Yes, it is.
Well, Craig, I know where I stand. He saw Don. He saw Don Hutchinson. He saw Ian Dark. He saw
I saw
somebody else. I can't remember the other one was. And he made no effort whatsoever to contact me.
No. Oh, Robbo, don't take it personally, mate. Right, for Robbo, have you ever been humiliated on the field like what we saw today from Bayern? Of course, winning 9-2 against Zagreb.
Humiliated twice, really. Once was early on for Arsenal, when I was probably 17, 18, and we were into the FA Cup semi-final. And the week before the FA Cup semi-final, we were playing Spurs away on a bank holiday Monday, and maybe some of the players didn't want to get injured or were protecting themselves, and we lost to the enemy 5-0 away from home. That was a terrible performance and a terrible day. Wow. And we never really recovered. We lost in the semi-final to Manchester United 2-1. And the other time was in the semi-final of the League Cup when we lost. I was playing for West Ham on an artificial surface, which is never the best thing to play, at Oldham, and we lost 6-0 in the first leg of the semi-final.
Wow, I remember the plastic pitch in Oldham. You must have played on that, did you? Yeah, it must be horrible.
Oldham?
Yeah.
No, Oldham.
Absolutely.
They had ripped it up in '94 when I played there, and they put grass back down.
Right.
They put the grass on top of the...
There was no grass. It was dirt.
They put it on top of they laid the field on top of the old AstroTurf.
Right.
You could actually stand on it.
What were your legs like after tackles like that?
Well, look,
it was one. Skin.
Yeah, it must be.
The skin comes up. you don't really notice it until the game's done and you're sat on the bus on the way home.
Yeah.
And then when you get off the bus, your trousers are stuck to your legs.
Oh, of course.
And now you've got to try and pry your...
all that pus seeping.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you're eating while watching this. Lovely.
Horrible.
Humiliation on the field?
Well, yeah, but I didn't feel humiliated.
Okay.
Because I was not taking any responsibility for it.
But it was everybody else's fault.
No, I'll tell you why. It was, I can't remember if it was 7-1 or 7-0. You know this story. It was my league debut.
Oh, yes.
Chelsea at Forest, at the City Ground, and we were 5... I can't remember if it was we got a goal or not. Let's say not, 7-0.
Yeah.
Can't remember. It was 5-0 when the late Bobby Campbell said to me, "You're making your debut, son." So, I mean, I can't be blamed for that, but I was on the field and it ended up 7-0 at Forest.
Oh, no. I was going to say, what was the one when you had a pint? You were up the stairs having a pint.
Oh, that was the it was like the Simod Cup or something they used to call it. Simod Cup. When Andy, we were playing Swindon, and I played in the reserves the day before, and Andy Townsend, who's, he was a brilliant guy, Andy. But he decided that his hernia problem...
Didn't fancy it. Got Burley out the bar.
So dragged me out the bar, and I played. I had a couple.
What about you, Stevie?
The one I think about is Sheffield Wednesday, when we got beat 7-2 at Blackburn.
Right. Did you start that game?
I didn't start that game.
Right.
I came on after about 25 minutes. That's one of those... It was 5-0 at half-time. Wow. I think it was 3 after about 20 minutes. And of course, everybody in the bench is hiding so that the gaffer doesn't bring you on. And then I got the call and I was like, oh no. And the thing was, the day before, I had 10 pints.
Well, that's
on the Sunday, I decided that there's no way I was playing. In fact, I was actually surprised that I was on the bench.
Right.
So I went out on the Sunday and had 10 pints.
Lovely. And
then after 20 minutes, he went, I was like that.
And you're 3-0 down when he brings you on?
I was like that. Oh, no.
OK.
But it actually turned out all right. I actually did well, incredibly. I did actually well.
But you lost 7-2.
Yeah, but we drew the second half 2-2.
Oh, my crikey.
Because it was 5-0 at half-time.
But I'm imagining even with 10 pints in you, by the sounds of it, you couldn't have done much worse than what was already on the field.
Yeah, there's a low bar. Yeah. Stevie, who do you think bore most of the responsibility for Milan's goal versus Liverpool? Of course, Christian Pulisic opening the scoring.
Well, let me put it this way. I think Konate could have stopped it.
Okay.
If Konate has to see that McAllister struggled to get back. McAllister has run 60 yards to get back, but he was never getting there. And the only reason he nearly got there was because Pulisic had to stop to steady himself to take the shot. Whereas Konate just ran straight back towards his goal. He never at any stage made an attempt to go out and get close to Pulisic, which I believe he should have done. So I'm not going to say it's completely his fault, but I think he could have stopped the goal had he gone out and closed the ball down.
Robbo, Mbappe is starting to find himself. How many goals does he score at the end of the season?
I would think probably 25 to 30. And you're talking about all competitions. I think he's going to score a lot of tap-ins because other people are going to make them for him. And he's going to score some great goals himself when he comes that bit shorter. And as you've seen him do on many occasions, get it onto his right foot and bend it into the far corner. He'll find his form. Real Madrid will find their form at some point. They'll get an understanding in the forward areas and he will score goals. There's no doubt about that. So I'm going 25 to 30 goals.
Hear about the letter?
The letter? No. Who wrote a letter?
You were travelling. We talked about it yesterday.
Okay.
Neymar, I say a letter, a message.
Okay.
Neymar has sent a message to the Brazilians at Real Madrid to basically say, watch your back, this guy's a disaster.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's
That's
quite a strong letter. I'm being told allegedly in my ear.
Allegedly.
Wow.
Well, why did we bring it up yesterday then if it's allegedly? Don't put it on the show if it's allegedly. Don't try and get me in trouble. I mean, you can't run it and then say allegedly now. Hold on, what kind of nonsense is that?
I will hear it. I don't know.
We can't run it yesterday and then say today allegedly. Right?
Right.
What are we going to do?
Craig, allegedly Dan sends me text messages about you two when he's on the screen.
I'll be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
I was on here for an hour and a half yesterday, and I'm almost positive the word allegedly was not used once.
Reports, maybe. Reports is another word that I'm being told. It's a report that this has happened.
He's sitting squirming. He's got me in trouble again.
But I'm pretty sure it wasn't a letter. I think that's fair.
It was a carrier pigeon.
Dear.
How do you spell?
I hope you're well.
How do you spell allegedly?
Watch out.
How do you spell allegedly?
Watch out for that French chap.
Yours sincerely, Neymar.
Written was a feather.
Right.
Up in the oil.
Yes. In the oil? The English.
The English.
The oil.
Oil.
The oil.
Yeah, oil. Allegedly. Reports. Sod off. I'm not backtracking now.
That's all right. That's
We
okay.
spent a chunk of time backtracking.
Stevie, I know Ancelotti gets results, but how can Real Madrid fans watch their Galactico team get dominated by almost every opponent? Mallorca, Las Palmas, Real Sociedad, and even tonight, Stuttgart were very good.
Well, I'm with Robbo. I think eventually it'll work itself out. And I'm pretty sure Real Madrid fans will figure that one out as well. And
Right.
the fact that they're actually winning, it takes the pressure away, it takes the pain.
Right.
It takes the pain away from your team not playing well to actually win the game.
So there's no time, though, at the moment, is there? Because you've got, obviously, Champions League, La Liga, Champions League. When does he work on this?
Well, he doesn't have any time, as you said.
So it'll fix itself?
Well, he'll have conversations, is what he'll do.
OK.
When you don't have time to get on the field, you have conversations, or little words, or little nuggets that you can give to players.
What little nuggets? You write him a letter in oil.
Well, so what you do is dip it in.
Handwritten. Dip it in the oil. Engine oil. Has to be engine oil.
Give them little messages.
Olive oil. Yeah. Did you hear about the strikes? As I diverse. Players talking about strikes.
Rolls Reese talking about strikes, yeah, I saw so.
He's not talking about striking himself.
Right, OK.
Apparently there's been a ballot of 1,500 players by FIFPro and other organisations.
Right.
So just thought I'd bring that up.
OK.
I wouldn't mind a little strike, some more time off.
I think there's a strike. What the hell will we talk about then?
No, but how can we have a strike before and after International Week?
Right, yeah. So you're going to elongate the whole
Absolutely
time.
nothing to talk about. Absolutely nothing to talk about. Absolutely nothing to talk about.
Robbo, you've been surprised how poor Real Madrid have been?
A little bit, yeah. I thought they'd get their act together very quickly. I thought the addition of Mbappe would make them even better. But we have to remember there were stages last year in the Champions League when they were outplayed by Leipzig on 2 occasions. They were lucky to get through that. They were outplayed by Man City for much of the 2 legs, but they got through that. And they're that sort of side at the moment. They find ways of winning, even though they're not playing at their very best. As I said before, they all find some way of getting the best out of Mbappe and Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo. But I, like Stevie said earlier in the show, worry about that central midfield area. They're all dynamic players. Valverde's an excellent player, making forward runs and driving and sort of getting a hold of people and stopping them playing. Tchouameni does a good job sitting in front of the 2 centre-halves. Camavinga, likewise. But there's no... And obviously Bellingham likes to make forward runs. But there's nobody that can handle the ball like Toni Kroos could and pick out those passes that he could and decide when to play 1 touch, 2 touch, and when to take a couple of more touches and hit that big diagonally out to Carvajal. So that's the area where they are just stopping at the moment from dominating games, that central midfield area.
It's a good question, Stevie. Haaland has only been offside 15 times in the Premier League across his 70 games. Yep. In the same time span, Darwin has been offside 51 times. How is he doing this and how does it change the way you defend against him?
Well, he's doing it because he's using his brain.
Right.
And he knows what's going on around him.
So is that something you can teach or is it kind of instinctive?
Well, it's a bit of both. Obviously, when Haaland was younger, he's obviously spent time on it, and you can do drills. Everybody's done drills.
Right.
You know, you stick cones down and you make sure you do a straight run along, and then when you figure out the man on the ball's playing it, then you make your run forward. But Darwin Núñez is not doing any of those things. All he's doing is watching the man on the ball. So his periphery is not seeing where the defenders are and what the defenders are doing. He's just got his eye on the ball and he's making a run. And of course, if he's playing against a smart defender, he'll just take a little step ahead and get him offside. It's too easy.
So to that point, how do you stop Haaland doing that as a defender?
It's an absolute disaster.
Yeah. Because
it's not just about Haaland now, because as a defender, if you're scared of somebody running past you or in behind you, you drop off. The problem is, it's not just Haaland you've got to contend with. You're playing against a team in Man City that if you drop off, then they're going to kill you somewhere else.
Right.
So it's a bit of a disaster.
Darwin Núñez to me always looks as if he's too anxious to get in there. It's like he goes, a lot of times he goes too early. It's like, it reminds me in some sense, although this guy has been around and scored goals, but Alvaro Morata, particularly when he was in England at Chelsea, was horrendous at it. Yeah. I mean, he just seemed to be getting caught. Defenders just figured it out and then just stepped.
Right.
Because he would go way too early and they'd just step. And offside and offside and offside. And I think Núñez is not backing himself. He's quick enough. He doesn't have to go that early. He's probably going to outpace most defenders, and I think that's what Erling Haaland does. He knows he doesn't have to go too early because he knows he's quicker, he's stronger, he's bigger than them. And as long as he bides his time and somebody clips the ball over the top or slides it down, he knows he can buy himself a second or two before he makes that run.
You know, you always hear us talking about composure, and we generally use it when players are in front of goal. But you need composure when you're making those runs as well.
Right.
You need to be able to calm down, just keep your powder dry, and then you make the run at the right time, and that's by being composed and knowing what's going on around you and all these other things.
Right.
As Craig says, he's anxious, so as soon as he thinks there's a chance, he's like, oh, he's not calm and he's not thinking straight.
Everything's just going.
Everything's just like, oh, I need to go.
Unfortunately for him, there is not one that, and he has a talent, and of course he scored goals when he was in Portugal and he's scored goals at Liverpool. Unfortunately for him, is everything he does is a rush.
Right.
Everything. Almost everything.
Right.
Whether it's getting a first touch, whether it's running down the channel with the ball, whether it's, you know, having a chance, half a chance and the ball comes to him and he's snatching at it. We saw it tonight. He almost fell over at one point, trying to strike it on his right foot. And I think it's definitely a confidence thing. And I think the more he's out the side and the more he feels that he's not the main man, the key man that everybody thought he was going to be, it just seems that everything he's doing is just too rushed.
So, Robbo, from a coaching perspective, how do you help him with that? Can you help him with that?
You can, but what Nunez is doing at the moment, he's trying to get the player to play the ball in behind. So he's trying to tell the player on the ball, stick me in, so he makes his run too early. Whereas Haaland, because the players he's got at Man City, like Kevin De Bruyne, they're almost saying to him, go on, this is the ball I'm going to play, you run into that space, and I'm going to play it there. So that's the difference between the two players. But they're absolutely right. You've got to just teach him sometimes to run away from the ball in terms of, rather than trying to run across the front of the defender where it's easier for him to see and play you offside, you run towards the back of him. So you go towards the ball and then spin round the back. If you give yourself a couple of yards to go short to the ball and then spin in behind, you've got 2 yards to break the offside line before the ball's played. If you just make your run straight forward, the defender sees that easily and just steps up on you. And that's what he's got to try and do.
We just talked about this, doesn't it? How does playing on artificial turf, like Aston Villa did today against Young Boys, affect your performance compared to natural grass? Also, does it heighten your concerns about potential injury?
It's the bounce of the ball.
OK.
So I'm presuming that in Switzerland is related to weather.
Right.
Why they have the pitch like that for the harsh winters that I presume they get in that area. I don't know. Geography of Switzerland.
It's the climate in Switzerland demands that these pitches are there.
Yeah. Harsh weather. Hold on. Allegedly.
Yep.
Everything changes. The bounce of the ball, how it skips off that surface, the whole thing, the whole shebang.
Footwear
changes.
Mm-hmm. Footwear.
OK, so what are you wearing?
Slippers.
Well, it's.
Stevie's got some.
I remember going to Luton, and we all had so many different pairs of boots. Was it better to use turf shoes, or is it better to use rubbers?
Right.
Because depending on the quality of the artificial surface, your balance isn't there. You're scared that you're just scared. You don't feel right.
OK.
So it's so many. It's not just one thing. It's so many things, and wearing the right footwear is another one.
Robbo?
I found it difficult to if you were going to close somebody down, you try and get out quickly and then slow yourself down to try and defend 1v1. But you were never quite sure how quickly you could slow down on an artificial surface, or whether you're going to get your studs caught in the surface, and that was the most difficult thing. And we played probably on the worst pitches, QPR, Oldham, there was another one, Luton. And they played on it very well by playing the way they were facing. It was very difficult on those pitches to turn with the ball. So they played 1- and 2-touch football and played balls in behind you. And they also played a very high line because they were used to playing it, because forwards couldn't make their right runs and you couldn't get underneath the ball to keep it in play. It's a totally different game if you're not used to playing on it.
What would you tell a player in a dressing room, Craig, if you decided to shoot and score like Endrick? We all know that's a fantastic goal. Well, it's not, the goalkeeper threw it in. But we all know he should have passed the ball.
Well, it's all about the end result, isn't it?
OK, so he gets a pass?
Well, I am not too disappointed with him if we've won the game and blah, blah, blah. However, if this was, 1 each at the time or whatever, right, and he's doing that, then there's going to be some senior players having a right word with him in the dressing room, for sure. So I don't know how they would deal with that in this scenario, because they've won the game and he scored. But it's certainly, Champions League final, Real Madrid are in it, it's neck and neck, and he does that, pulls it wide, he's got 2 passes on. That's not going to wash with your teammates.
Yeah, if he doesn't score,
yes,
he's getting the full volley.
OK.
But because he scored, it's just a little line. It's just a little, good job you scored.
Yeah.
And then you leave it, and then let him think about it.
Robbo, how would you deal with it? Obviously, it was 5-on-2, wasn't it, at the time?
Well, he scored the goal, so you can't say too much about it. As Stevie just said, you'd have a quiet word saying, you did well when you came on or whatever, and you scored the goal, but it was the wrong decision, really. You got lucky. Don't let that happen again.
He doesn't lack for confidence, a young fella, does he?
No, definitely not.
Allegedly.
Pardon? Allegedly.
Reports say.
Reports say. I've been told reports are saying there were only 4 games that were played at 3 o'clock today, compared to last year when there were 6.
Yeah, but there was other games played today.
Oh, because United were playing as well.
He had every bloody telly on. I just wanted 3 games. I didn't want every game under the sun on. It was distracting. With Sporting Club Villarreal in the corner, really.
Right, oh yeah. Nice goal in that game. OK, start, bench or drop, these maddest moments in football. Zidane headbutting Materazzi, Roy Keane going into the stands as United?
No.
No, it's a Cantona, isn't it? Yeah. And then the ghost goal between Reading and Watford. That was the goal, of course, that went wide and then was actually given. That was in the Championship. But Stevie?
The maddest moment for me, I'll just say quickly, has to be Eric Cantona.
That was the moment.
I've never seen...
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff on the field.
Yes.
But I've never seen a top-level player react to a idiotic punter shouting at him by kung fu kicking him in the snot and then throwing punches.
Yeah, that was, of course, Sellers Park against Palace, wasn't
Can you actually separate that and Zidane?
Because it's the moment, it's the World Cup final. Yeah.
And he just walks up and headbutts.
But we've seen players headbutt other players before and punch players.
Right.
Have we ever seen another player kung fu kick somebody in a stand?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. That's the moment. It's a bigger moment. Of course it is.
Yeah.
But the story going is that all the rest of the United players got a rollicking for their performance that
Lee
day.
Sharp tells the story.
Apart from Cantona himself, who was just given a minor slap in the wrist.
Eric, you can't do that.
Eric, come on.
Eric, come on, sort it out. Final question for Dan: how many nights were you at your old karaoke bar?
Come on.
None. No karaoke.
Not allowed?
No karaoke.
Was you not allowed, or was you just past that?
No, I would definitely want to do it, but I had everyone with me. The family, my wife was there, the kids. I can't take them into karaoke. The band did leave the microphone up during their little break at the wedding. I should have gone on that.
You go to the hotel.
I'd sing a song.
This isn't the karaoke that Stevie went to, is it? In Madrid that time?
That doesn't exist anymore. They've redone it all, which is
no,
I know. Yeah, I know. You weren't there. A bit rude, Robbo. Pretend you were sick.
Yeah. What a journey that was to the airport with Stevie that morning. Oh my good gracious!
I didn't know you were in the car with him. So that's when we went through the whole night,
yeah.
and it was like 6 a.m. Yeah. Then you went straight onto the van to get to the airport.
Schoolboy error.
He was saying all sorts of things, and there was a very important member of ESPN in the van when Stevie was saying all these things, and I had to say, Stevie, I think you need to know who that is that's in the car with us, which he thanked me later on for it.
Oh, there we go. I'm sure he remembers that. There we are.
Schoolboy error even travelling with him.
I had no choice. That was the
Even
van.
if it's from the hotel to the airport.
Even if it's an Uber.
Trying to get into the right terminal was hard enough.
Only imagine.
Thanks again, Robbo.
Yeah, there we are. That is it. That brings us to the end of today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. 17 games are on at the same time.